This is Rich the Lich's review of I Had to Go Because. This is a 27-page PDF that I downloaded and purchased off of DM's Guild for $2.95, created by Ashley May. Interesting title. So, let me set up the situation here. You sit down, dice, DM screen, snacks, pizza, beer, everything is at the table, ready to go. You sit down, your players all show up, pull out their character sheets. One of the players says, "Dude, where were you last weekend? What the heck, man? We were in the dungeon and you're the cleric and we needed your heals." And that player just simply says, "Dude, sorry, man, I had to go because..." There you go. So what are we looking at here? We are looking at a 27-page PDF, as I said, of a bunch of things, charts, lists, words, content that you can use as the Dungeon Master to explain why a certain character was missing from the group. What I'll often do is, even before I think about, I'll look through DM's Guild, before I think about what do I want to review, I'm going to think about what might I actually have some use from, what might I personally find value in, and what might be a benefit to my group. I run 10 players, so it's very likely that somebody's going to have to be gone for the session. We can certainly hand wave it and, hey, what's his name's just gone today. But instead of doing things that don't make sense, right? The PCs are going into a ancient ruin in the middle of a forest, and they heard that some of this ruin is sealed by nature. And the druid happens to be gone. The real life player that's playing the druid character has some family stuff going on. He's going to be gone. But as much as my players might understand if I sort of hand wave it, these aren't the droids you're looking for. When they're going into an ancient ruin sealed by nature, it doesn't sit well when I say, well, Jack is gone today because, and therefore his druid character's gone because he overslept. The PCs are going to be like, dude, if anything, he would wake up early for this mission. This is important. So what this does is this just gives you some cool things that you can link to. Now, you may notice if you've looked at any of my previous reviews where I started this new review sort of method, I've skewed the points a little bit. I've put it more heavily weighted towards content. So now we have only 2 points available for layout, design, and editing. We have only 3 points available for art, but the same 5-point range is available for content. So if the content falls flat, a given piece that I'm reviewing may not be saved by art and design and layout. Now, if I was ever going to be reviewing a coffee table art book, obviously art is the content of the book. But what I'll do, though, is I will explain as I go through my reviews of what points I'm giving for each category. I'll explain what each one of them means. And I'm going to try and not change it around and stay sort of within this system. As I said, I just feel like I needed to weight a little more towards content so that I can give more praise and possibly more opposition to certain pieces depending on where the content is. Because at the end of the day, my overarching theme for what content should be is, am I getting enough for what I spent? So let's look into it with those sort of 3 categories. So first we have layout, design, and editing. Layout is simple. Nice front cover art. I like it. I like the 3 pieces on the front there. Ashley May, very quickly, a nice bold font with a stroke line around it. You're seeing exactly what you get. Over 180 options. When you think $2.95, that 180 options stands out to me. So good. I like that you're advertising that. It gives you the credits as normal. So you've got introduction and various things like that. You've got the catalyst behind what's my goal here? What am I trying to accomplish? And as I said, the goal of this document is to provide in-character explanations to cover when a player says, sorry, I can't make it to the next session. So good layout. The font is really well done. Now, there is a small little nitpick here, but understand also that here's the benefit of sort of changing the weighing scale of my review system now. By only having 2 points available for layout, design, and editing, I can nitpick a little more because it's not going to weigh as heavily on the overall score of the review. So we have this same familiar, similar font. I always talk about it. Graphic designer for 25 plus years. I obsess about a lot of stuff like this. You have the same similar font and it carries over. You have Acolyte. This looks like the official WotC products, right? The same maroon color, bold heading. And then you have this, but then it goes from this serif font where you've got the sort of squigglies at the edges into a sans serif font, much larger. So you've got, Graphic Design 101 is always be careful of using too many fonts. This is maybe a similar font to this, but I think it's a little different. You've got bold. It's a different color. It's all caps. And then you have a serif font, smaller letters, good spacing. And then you have a sans serif, larger letters. And what happens is between the leading and kerning, which is basically, so you're looking at the spacing between letters and also the space between one word and the next. So between some and religious, between religious and text, you want to either go 2 times or 3 times more vertically. Okay. So where you scroll down into here, you get like this section that gets a little bit, if I was to zoom in, you see what I mean? Is it gets a little bit, it's too clumped together. Okay. I'm not going to obsess about that too much more, but we're talking about layout, design, and editing. So whether from a design layout point of view or perhaps editing afterwards, I feel like it would have been a little bit better if it could have just kept a little more consistently. Once again, I'm nitpicking it, but you're not going to lose too many points on this anyway. So for layout, design, and editing, I'm going to give it 1 out of 2 possible points. All right, artwork. Let's look at that. So we've got pretty good artwork. Let's just see what to what. So we've got a acolyte. Good. I like that it's its own section, and it's not an acolyte per se, but it makes sense, obviously. You have a charlatan. Cool piece of artwork. The artwork itself is really good, really well done. City Watch. Cool. I like it. I like that you're seeing different races here. Very neat. You have criminals. It makes sense. Has that look to it. Entertainer. Really good. It's a little bit flat and muted, like there was almost a Gaussian blur or something put on it, but passable. Again, just like I was with layout, design, and editing, I'm nitpicking the art, but this is also coming from someone that's been among art studios and art design, stuff like that, a degree in art and design. So I've also obsessed about art books. And for me, when I think art, I don't have that expectation, but what my comparison, and it's just natural, it's tendency. First off, I can't duplicate art to this level. So I'm not saying that I could have done better myself, but I know good when I see it. And I'm talking about like the world's greatest concept artists. So what does the art quality look like from Weta Digital, from the concept artists at Blizzard and Riot and Valve and Bethesda, you know what I mean? Or the people that are doing concept art for Star Wars and things like this, Lord of the Rings. So that's why I can sort of nitpick it. Far Traveler, good. There's something there. I like that one actually a lot. I like that. It's a little bit of Brian Froud, Dark Crystal, but also has a little bit of that element of Tony, I believe his name is Tony DiTerlizzi. The Spiderwick Chronicles. He created some of the art for some of the older D&D monster manuals, I believe. Cool here. This guy looks familiar to me, Goliath, I think. But I like the artwork a lot. Gladiator. That's a beautiful piece. That's sort of what this should have been, I think. But this kind of has a little bit of a blur. And I think what happened here is just we have some pixelation because it was blown up a lot to fill. I like that it does fill that aesthetic, or it fills the column, because the entertainer doesn't have a long descriptor. Right? So it fills in well, but I think maybe that's what happened with this versus it's that same sort of oil paint, traditional quality. So good artwork. I'll continue scrolling down. That's a beautiful piece there. Hermit Inheritor. I don't see any art at all. Okay, so there's only 2 missing. Investigator has something good. Knight, we're there. Not up to par with the same quality, but it's decent. It's good. I like the Noble. That has a little more traditional pencil sketch. Outlander, nice. Very nice, actually. That's one of the better pieces overall. That's gorgeous. Take that art right there. Okay, look at the pirate. If you put that through the whole book, I can simply skim over it and say 3 out of 3. Done. Right? That's as good as it gets. It's just, it looks high-level professional. You're not going to find a concept artist that may do that any better. Right? Sage, but look at the difference. Okay? Sailor, similar to the Acolyte. Not a picture of a sailor, but we get it. I like it, actually, because it also breaks it up. Yes, you want to be looking at either portraits or characters, but it's nice to see something that fits thematically and it makes sense. But now we're looking at a little bit of environment art. So neat little addition there. It's kind of cool. I like the soldier. And what's cool here is on the soldier, they didn't just give you a soldier there's two charts, right? There's a chart that you roll on if you were a soldier, you're a military soldier, or if you're a mercenary, and it gave you two different pieces of artwork, which is really a nice touch. So that's really well done. Here I can certainly appreciate a little more of the blurred because you're getting a little more transparency here because you're trying to give the illusion of, whether stealth or hiding. I like that. But for me, though, I don't know if that was the intention or if this is just sort of uncompleted or not lesser detailed artwork. So, and then you have the urban bounty hunter, pretty cool piece actually. So, and then the urchin finally. So overall, it's better than just being there, which would be a 1. A 1 is it's barely there, and when it is there, it sucks, or it's way all over the place where you have some loose 5-year-old pencil sketch, and then you have some high-level concept art. That's a 1. A 2 is it's pretty damn good. And for that, I'm going to give this 2 out of 3 possible points for art because it's pretty damn good. It's there mostly, except for those 2, and I like it overall. I don't want to give it a 3 because the 3 leaves me room for when I find that book that is just perfect artistically. So there's my review on the art of it. 2 out of 3 points. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of it all. Content. So, for content, these excuses are organized by the character's background rather than class or race, as many of them involve ghosts of the past coming back to haunt someone or an aspect of their personality being exploited. So, I like that because it makes it feel like it might be something that the other characters that are present at the table may not have been privy to because this is something that may have happened before this guy became an adventurer, but it's still something that is a part of their makeup and who they are, so it's important to them, and therefore it would make sense that they would just sort of skip out mid-session or mid-adventure, if you will. You have the Acolyte. Really, really well done. Beautifully well done. And the reason for that is it just makes sense immediately. It gives me more than just the understanding of my players. Hey guys, he had some family stuff going on. He mentioned that he probably had something going on this, last time that he was going to miss. If it's the druid, again, integral to that mission, it's going to be a harder sell. But here, if the druid comes from an acolyte background, and let's say I roll a 1, my former mentor was facing trial for crimes against the order, and I was compelled to stand as witness to his good character before the judicial forum. Very cool. Is he maybe has mentioned before in passing, in brief conversation while adventuring with the group that his mentor is the one that taught him and transformed him from either a farmer to a druid or transformed him from just a ranger into the learnings of druid magic. So he has a lot of respect and a lot of admiration and love and care for his former mentor. It would make sense now if I read this. So what it does, though, also is besides giving us these reasons, there's a we can help section. This is sort of the author, the writer, Ashley. I want to make sure I get that right. Yep. Ashley sort of going over some. Only when I record do these guys cause issues. Wait, buddy. I'll be there soon. Apologies. Where was I? See, apparently my ferret wasn't having it. He was talking to me, telling me he wanted to eat. And yes, I understand ferrets aren't supposed to talk, but seeing as I'm the Beastmaster and they are my Kodo and Podo, we're on the same page. So, what Ashley did, what the author did, is they gave us this little we can help section, and you'll see it in different boxes throughout. So there's one there, there's one there, there's one there. And what this is they give you a little bit more information that you as the DM can use whenever your PC say, well, cool, you gave us an awesome reason why the druid's gone because he was talking about his former mentor possibly facing trials and crime. And I want to join that. I want to help him out. You're trying to give a better reason to excuse the absence of that character. You then do not want to have to deal with 3 other characters that want to jump on board and do that mission, right? You want to keep them staying on task. So these we can help sections and boxes really help a lot in providing you more bits that you can go off of. So for example, let's use one of them, right? Let's say option number 4. Okay, there's a criminal. A character in the party has criminal background. Let's say it's the druid guy, right? We've got this, we're kind of going to follow along that same trend. We have this ancient ruin that needs to be excavated. They're looking for some magical items and so on. And the druid, though, is important to this because, number one, the ruin is inside of a forest, so they figure the druid might have some magics or just some skills and traits that might help with that. And also, they heard that the ruin might be sealed. But Brad, Jack, whatever, the player of the druid, had some family stuff come up. He's not going to make this session. The PCs decide, all right, let's roll without. Let's go in, but we wish we had him. And then you give this explanation where the druid has a criminal background, okay, not the acolyte. We roll a 4. An old friend of mine reached out to me to tell me that they stole something they shouldn't have, and now they think they might be cursed. Security has increased on the building they broke into, and they want me to break in so I can put it back. Cool. Storyline, whatever, right? Maybe one of the PCs, he's not very excited about this whole druid ancient ruin excavation thing. He doesn't want to mess with it. So when you read this explanation and you say, this is why the Jack is gone from the table today, and you get 3 people in the group that are like, dude, let's go do that instead. Let's just follow his trail, his druid trail, which usually is what? There's a bunch of leaves pulled off trees, right? Let's follow his trail and let's go and let's get involved in this storyline. Let's go this way. Well, what this does is it gives you this weekend help box, a nice little addition. It didn't have to be there, so this is just putting content and giving us even more, where I'm all for more when I'm spending my money, right? Because this would have been sufficient of giving me at least a better reason than the druid overslept is just number 4 by itself. But now that it gives me this option number 4 might seem like the kind of thing the party might want to tag along for. I said all that before I read this. Of course, the criminal doesn't have to tell them up front why they're leaving. They could just go to help a friend and not explain until they return. Other ways to keep the party from tagging along: the vault has a magic seal on it that only allows one person in at a time. It's a personal matter and the criminal's friend would be embarrassed and refuse the help if so many people knew about it, or the rest of the party isn't stealthy enough to pull off the job. Very nice touch, very well done. I like that. So it does a really good job of stuff like that. As I said, every one of these things have a D8 that you can pull from. And then to give you more, I like that there was for the soldier, there's 2 different charts. So you have, if you're a soldier in the military, I don't like talking about it, but I received a dishonorable discharge when I left the military. New evidence has surfaced that I was innocent all along, and if I show up before the tribunal to fight the case, I may be able to get my service record corrected. That's a legit reason for a military soldier to leave. But within the same background of soldier, you also have an entirely different mercenary chart. I rolled a 2, just like I did for the military guy. I received a letter from a mercenary I used to run with. It sounds like they're trying to round up the old gang, or at least the members they liked. I suspect they want to start their own mercenary company, and they're going to offer me a job, but I don't want to pass up the opportunity to reconnect with old friends. So as we scroll through, you're going to get the same treatment. It's just really well done. I think there's a lot of excellent content here. And with that, if a 1 on the scale of my content, 1 check is enough to say, there's something there, but it's definitely not worth what I paid. A 2 would be, there's a little more. I would have bought this product if had it been cheaper, right? Whereas 1 is, I shouldn't have bought the damn thing. 3, it's hit or miss. I would say buy it, or the content is enough if you feel like that is specifically what you're looking for your game. It's not going to fit everyone's table. A 4, you really ought to go out there and buy it. Like it's a benefit and an addition to any table. A 5 in content is a perfect score, meaning not only should you definitely go out and buy it, it's a fit for anyone at every table. It is an example of what all things, even outside the genre, should try and emulate. Here's the best compliment I can give to this piece, just more of a commentary. This gives me, the book gives me excuses for when a player at my table is missing, and therefore the character is not going to be present during that adventure. What it does, though, is, for example, I think it's the investigator. Want to keep your investigator Absent investigator involved with the plot and feeling relevant. Before their return, give them some information or a clue that the rest of the party may have overlooked or not yet discovered. Now, when the investigator returns to the party, they already have a method of helping to move the plot forward. Instead of having to be filled in on what they missed, the investigator gets to be one step ahead. It starts to turn the wheels of something that I might be able to use later. Like, it takes something that might have been a negative of, damn it, there's a player missing and I don't know how to explain in the middle of the dungeon why he's just suddenly gone. It not only helps with that negative, it almost gives you a positive. It can turn a missing character and a player gone from the table into something that is actually a benefit to the story and the pacing of the game. Also, I almost want to just read through them just separately as just adventure hook and plotline information, regardless of whether a player is gone or not, or a character's gone from the group. I want to just use this and sort of attach it to the different backgrounds of my players in my group and use this as a catalyst for some possible adventure. There's that much cool inspiration and content here, and that's the best compliment I can give, is just it can turn something that might normally be a little bit of a negative into a positive. Like, it's a good thing that they're gone now because I get to use this. So super, super well done. So what's my score for content? This is it. That's a horrible drum roll, but I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. For $2.95, I got so much more. I mean, hell, a couple of the charts and the things I'm reading are spinning the wheels enough already that, like I said, even not even using it for what it's intended to be used for, I might have an adventure come out of this. Multiple adventures. So not only am I getting excuses for why a player's gone, I'm getting multiple adventures, which translates into one, if not more, nights of gameplay for $2.95. This is my final score, and I hope between the score, my overall review, and my commentary on this piece, you are better informed as to whether or not this might be a good fit for you and your gaming group. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care.